Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams to all the devotees. Thank you all for joining in for our Bhagavad Gita study session this afternoon as per Indian Standard Time. Thank you. So let's quickly start with our prayers. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sadhujatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padhaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradhayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Dushe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam bhangum langayate girim yatkripātamam mande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram Harihi Om Tatsat Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Taralye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna. So Dandavat Pranams to all. We are on chapter number 7 of the Bhagavad Gita, which is entitled Knowledge of the Absolute. You also saw how this section of the Bhagavad Gita is the actual jewel of Bhagavad Gita. 1 to 6 refers to the top lid, and 13 to 18, which is Jnana Yoga, is like the kind of the bottom lid inside of the jewel box, and the real jewel is inside, which is actually chapters 7 to 12 of the Bhagavad Gita. So chapter 7 is entitled Knowledge of the Absolute, right? So we need to have understanding of who the Lord is. Only then we can establish or have a desire to develop a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in this knowledge of the Absolute, in this entire chapter, Krishna is giving us various reasons. Or Krishna is giving us various ways by which we can remember Krishna. So like we saw, Balam Balavatam Chaham, right? That means I am the power of the powerful. And then Kama Raga Vivarjitam Dharma Viruddho Bhuteshu Kamosmi Bharatarsabha. Even Krishna says, I am that sex life, which is not against religious principles. So Krishna is basically establishing that Dharmam tu Sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. Right? Everything, whatever is dharmic in this world, whatever is wonderful, whatever is beautiful, whatever is famous, everything it represents but a spark of splendor of Lord Sri Krishna himself. Right? He says, I am the Bijam. right? I am the source of all of all the living entities, of all the material creation, of all the creations of this material world and the spiritual world, right? And then he says, I am the intelligence of the intelligent, the prowess of the powerful, right? Like this, we saw so many verses. We saw until verse number 13, wherein Krishna is talking about how Krishna is the best amongst all of the living entities which are there, out of all the creation that are there, right? Is Krishna being very egoistic? Why is he saying that I am the best of everything? Right? Krishna is just giving us, Krishna is speaking the fact, right? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Krishna is giving us an opportunity to remember Krishna in our day-to-day life. Rasoham apso konteya, prabhashmi shashishuryo, pranavaha sarva vedeshu, shabdike paurusham rishu, right? So I am the sound and ether, I am the taste of water, Rasoham apso konteya, yeah. Prabhashmi Shashishuryayo. I am the light and the heat of the sun, right? So in this way, Krishna is giving us various ways by which we can remember Krishna in our ordinary course of activities. So today we are going to continue with 7. This is a very beautiful verse, very, very important verse, an oft-repeated verse by Srila Prabhupada. So this will be our verse for memorization today. So in this verse, Daivi Hayeshu Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mameva Ye Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. We've discussed this verse in elaborate length, when we studied chapter 2, when we studied chapter 4. Why? Because in all the entire Bhagavad Gita, right, Krishna is always telling that it is very difficult by our own endeavor to conquer Maya, because Maya is the energy of the Supreme Lord. How is it that we are Jiva Tattvas, we are marginal energy of the Lord? How is it that we can control the external energy of the Lord himself, right? So we are marginal. So in this way, Krishna tells in this verse, very, very difficult to overcome the material nature. But Krishna also gives a solution, right? Generally, there are many people in this world. We can identify a lot of problems, right? It is not very difficult to find out what are the problems in this world, right? So many problems. This is Dukhalayam and Ashashvatam. So there are so many reasons why we can be dukkha, or why we don't have eternal happiness. We don't have anything for eternity in this world. So there is a lot of scope for giving problem statements. Anybody can do that, right? But what is Krishna doing here? Not only is he giving the problem statement, very difficult to overcome Maya, but he also is giving the solution. And what is that solution? That solution is an eternal solution. If we follow that solution, then we can be eternally happy. What is that? Mam eva ye prapadyante Maya metam tarantite. But one who surrenders unto me, such a person can easily cross over the 3 modes of material nature. So that is what is given by Lord Sri Krishna, and Prabhupada also very beautifully elaborates in this purport how Maya is temporary, Maya is false, Maya is illusion, right? Very difficult to overcome, right? Just like Prabhupada gives in the gives example how a person who is bound cannot actually unbind himself, right? A person who is tied to a chair, right? Whether of a golden rope or of a platinum rope for that reason, or for a silver rope or a copper rope, does not really matter. Whether we are in the mode of goodness, whether we are in the mode of passion, we are in the mode of ignorance, right? As long as we don't try to attain Shuddha Sattva level, as long as we don't try to take the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master who can free us, it is not possible for us to free ourselves, right? By our endeavor, we cannot, because we are already bound, right? Imagine we are bound to a chair, right? We have been tied to a chair, right? There is no way we can unbind ourselves, right? We need the help of another person who is not bound, who can come and untie our ropes, isn't it? So in this way, Prabhupada actually gives an example how it is very difficult to ourselves get over the 3 modes of material nature. However, the spiritual master who is already unbound, right? Because he's in the spiritual platform, he's in the spiritual consciousness. He is able to give us the transcendental knowledge by which he unbinds us from these 3 modes of material nature, which are like the 3 ropes which are binding us, right? The sattva, rajas, and tamoguna, right? Which is the representative of the material nature, which is very difficult to overcome. But if you surrender to Krishna, then by the mercy of the spiritual master, the mercy of Guru and Gauranga, we'll be able to get out of the 3 modes of material nature. So on that note, let us quickly go on to chapter number 7, text number 14, as we start our study today. I'll read this verse. Okay. Okay. I can see Sridhar Prabhu's hand up. Sridhar Prabhu, go ahead. 7.14.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Mataji.
Dandavat Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Devikesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Dhuratyaya Mameva Ye Prabhadyante Maya Medam Dharanti De. Hare Krishna. Devi, transcendental, high, certainly, Esha, this, Gunamayi, consisting of the three modes of material nature, Mama, my, Maya, energy, Duradhyaya, very difficult to overcome, Mom, unto me, Eva, certainly, Ye, those who, Prabhatyante, surrender, Maya Metam, this illusory energy, illusory energy, tatta to overcome the they. Translation, Hare Krishna. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Purport by Prabhupada, Prabhupada ki Jai. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead was innumerable energy, and all these energy are divine, although the divine entities are part of his energies and are therefore divine due to contract with material energy. Their original superior power is covered. Being thus covered by material energy, one cannot possibly overcome its influence as previously started. Both the material and the spiritual natures being emanations from the Supreme Personality of Godhead are eternal. The living entities belong to the eternal superior nature of the Lord, but due to contamination by inferior nature, matter, their illusion is also eternal. The conditioned soul is therefore called Nitya Bandha or eternally conditioned. No one can trace out the history of this becoming conditional at the certain date in the material history. Consequently, his release from the clutches of material nature is very difficult, even though that material nature is an inferior energy, because material energy is ultimately conducted by the supreme will, which is living entity cannot overcome. Inferior material nature is defined herein as divine nature due to his divine connection and movement by the divine will. Being conducted by the divine will, material nature, although inferior, act as wonderfully in the construction of destruction of the cosmonic manifestation. The Vedas confirm that this follow the Mayam to Prakritim Vidyam Mahitam to Mageshwaram. Although Maya illusion is false or temporary, the background of Maya is supreme magician, the personality of Godhead, who is the Mageshwara, the supreme controller. Another meaning of guna is rope. It is to be understood that the conditioned soul is tightly tied by the rope of illusion. The man bound by the hand of feet cannot free from himself. He must be helped by person who is unbound, because the bond cannot help the bond. The rescuer must be liberated. Therefore, only Lord Krishna or his bona fide representative, the spiritual master, can release the conditioned soul. Without such superior help, one cannot be freed from the bondage of material nature. Devotional service or Krishna consciousness can help one gain such release. Krishna, being the Lord of illusory energy, can order this insurmountable energy to release the conditioned soul. He ordered this release out of his cashless mercy or the surrendered soul, and out of his personal affection, paternal affection for the living entity who is originally a beloved son of Lord. Therefore, surrender unto lotus feet of Lord is the only means to get free from the clutches of stringent material nature. The word Mam Eva are also significant. Ma means unto Krishna, Vishnu only, and not Brahma. Not Brahma or Shiva. Although Brahma and Shiva are greatly elevated and are almost on the level of Vishnu, it is not possible for such incarnation of Rajaguna and Tamoguna ignorance to release the conditioned soul from the clutches of Maya. In other words, both Brahma and Shiva are also under the influence of Maya. Only Vishnu is the master of Maya. Therefore, he alone can give release in the conditioned soul. The Vedas,
Ekashvatara Upanishad.
confirm this is the place. Tam eva viditva. Our freedom is possible only by understanding Krishna. Even Lord Shiva affirms this liberation can be achieved only by the mercy of Vishnu. Lord Shiva says, Mukti Prada Sarvesham Vishnu Eva Na Samshaya. There is no doubt that Vishnu is the deliverer of liberation for everyone. Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam Mataji.
Thank you, Dandot Pranam. So here, Prabhupada tells very beautifully how Lord Shiva and Brahma, they are controllers of the three modes of material nature, right? So Brahma is not under the influence of passion, and Shiva is not under the influence of Tamoguna. However, when you need to control something or administer something, you have to be there, isn't it? So you have to be in influence of them, right? Although you're not under their control, yet you're tinged a little bit with that, with the prabhava or with the influence of that mode, right? So in that way, only Lord Vishnu is transcendental to three modes of material nature, right? Brahma and Shiva voluntarily they accept this seva. As a seva, they actually getting into that mode of passion or ignorance to control it, to control the jivas who are in the mode of passion and ignorance, right? Because for creation, you need a certain amount of passion. And for destruction, you need a certain amount of, what do you call, the Shiv Tandav, as they say, at the time of annihilation. So they have put themselves into that mode so as to perform their seva. So here Prabhupada very beautifully says, only Lord Vishnu is transcendental to three modes of material nature. And very beautiful verse also Prabhupada quotes here. Mukti pradata sarvesham Vishnu revana samshayaha. So nobody can give liberation except Lord Vishnu, right? Even when Hiranyakashipu asks, Hiranyakashipu and Ravana, right? They ask Brahma and Lord Shiva that, I don't want to be killed. And then what Brahma and Shiva say, even we cannot offer liberation. Brahma says, I myself have to die, right? So I cannot offer liberation. And Lord Shiva also, he does not offer mukti, right? He is Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu, so he is a person who directs us to Lord Vishnu. And when we approach Lord Vishnu and worship Lord Vishnu, then we get liberated. So Shiva becomes an instrument to direct us towards liberation, but Shiva himself does not offer liberation. That is why even to the demons who worship, right, Shiva does not offer complete liberation, because Shiva, what does he do? Like the Banasura or someone, he said, I wanted liberation. Shiva said, I cannot offer liberation. And then he tried to trick Lord Shiva by saying that whomever I keep my hand on top, right, that person needs to be destroyed. So immortality is not a benediction that Lord Shiva can offer, but destroying ability Lord Shiva can offer. So and then what does this Banasura do? Let me try and test on you only. And Lord Shiva had to run from that place, right? And then in this way, Vishnu came and actually told this demon that, hey, why are you relying on him? He is after all wearing, this lashes on his body. How can you trust him? He's with animals and snakes are running on his body. How can you trust his benediction? Try it out on yourself. Then what did he do? Banasura, he kept on top of his own head. And then he himself, got destroyed into ashes. So Shiva can offer all benediction, but he cannot offer liberation, or he does not offer liberation. We can say that, right? So, in this way, the position of Brahma, Shiva, and Lord Vishnu are also brought about here by Srila Prabhupada. All right, let's move on to the next verse, 7.15. Okay, so in this next couple of verses, we will talk about the four kinds of people who don't surrender to the Lord, the four kinds of people who surrender to the Lord. So very interesting discussion ahead. Rajneesh Prabhu, would you like to read 7.15?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
नमां दुष्कृतनो मूढा प्रपद्यन्ते नराधमाः माया प्रहृत ज्ञान आसुरं भावमाश्रिताः. Not mam unto me, duskriti nah, miscreants, mudha, foolish, prapadyante, surrender, naradhamaha, lowest among mankind, maya, by the illusive energy, apraharta, stolen, nanah, who knowledge, assurum, demonic,
Jnanaha.
bhavam, nature, asritaha, accepting. Translation: those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the artistic nature of demon, don't surrender unto me. Purport: it is said in Bhagavad Gita that simply by surrendering oneself unto the lotus feet of Supreme Personality Krishna, one can surmount the stringent laws of nature, material nature. At this point, a question arises: how is that educated philosophers, scientists, businessmen, administrators, and all the leaders of the ordinary men don't surrender to the lotus feet of Shri Krishna, all the all-powerful personality of Godhead? Mukti or liberation from the laws of material nature is sought by the leaders of mankind in different ways and with great plans and perseverance for great many years and births. But if that liberation is possible by simply surrendering into the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead, then why don't these intelligent and hard-working leaders adopt this simple method? The Gita answers this question very frankly. Those really learned leaders of society like Brahma, Shiva, Kapila, the Kumaras, Manu, Vyasa, Devala, Devla, Asita, Janak, Prahlad, Bali, and later on Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, Sri Chaitanya, and many others who are faithful philosophers, politicians, educators, scientists, etc., surrender to the lotus feet of the all-powerful authority. Those who are not actually philosophers, scientists, educators, administrators, etc., but who pose themselves as such for material gains, don't accept the plan or path of Supreme Lord. They have no idea of God. They have no idea of God. They simply manufacture their own worldly plans and consequently complicate the problems of material existence in their vain attempts to solve them. But material energy, nature is so powerful, it can resist the unauthorized plans of the atheists and baffle the knowledge of planning mission. The atheistic plan makers are described herein by the word dustrit, dustritna, or miscreant. Kriti means one who has performed meritorious work. The atheist plan maker is sometimes very intelligent and meritorious also, because any gigantic plan, good or bad, must take intelligence to execute. But because the atheist brain is improperly utilized in opposing the plan of the Supreme Lord, the atheistic plan maker is called Duskriti, which indicates his intelligence that his intelligence is not clear.
Efforts are
disintelligence,
misdirected.
and efforts are misdirected.
In the
In the
Gita,
Gita,
okay,
in the
Prabhu, you
Gita,
let,
it is
okay, we'll ask someone else to read, Prabhu, because it's a very long purport.
Okay.
So we'll ask Mala Mataji, would you like to continue reading?
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji.
Yes.
Excuse me. In the Gita, it is clearly mentioned that material energy works fully under the direction of the Supreme Lord. It has no independent authority. It works as the shadow moves in accordance with the movements of the object. But still, material energy is very powerful, and the atheist, due to his godless temperament, cannot know how it works, nor can he know the plan of the Supreme Lord. Under illusion and the modes of passion and ignorance, all his plans are baffled, as in the case of Hiranyakashipu and Ravana, whose plans were smashed to dust, although they were both materially learned as scientists, philosophers, administrators, and educators. These Duskritas or miscreants of four different patterns as outlined below. 1. The Mudas are those who are grossly foolish, like hard-working beasts of burden. They want to enjoy the fruits of their labor by themselves, and so do not want to take part with them for the supreme. The typical example of the beast of burden is the ass. This humble beast is made to work very hard by his master. The ass does not really know for whom he works so hard day and night. He remains satisfied by filling his stomach with a bundle of grass, sleeping for a while under fear of being beaten by his master, and satisfying his sex appetite at the risk of being repeatedly kicked by the opposite party. The ass sings poetry and philosophy sometimes, but his braying sound only disturbs others. This is the position of the foolish fruitive worker who does not know for whom he should work. He does not know that karma, action, is meant for yagya, sacrifice. Most often, those who work very hard day and night to clear the burden of self-created duties say that they have no time to hear of the immortality of the living being. To such mudas, material gain, which are indestructible,
Which are destructible.
which are destructible, are lives all in all, despite the fact that the mudas enjoy only a very small fraction of the fruit of labor. Sometimes they spend sleepless days and nights for fruit of gain, and although they may have ulcers or indigestion, they are satisfied with practically no food. They are simply absorbed in working hard day and night for the benefit of illusory masters. Ignorant of their real master, the foolish workers waste their valuable time serving Mammon. Unfortunately, they never surrender to the Supreme Master of all masters, nor do they take time to hear of him from the proper sources. The swine who eat the night soil do not care to accept sweetmeats made of sugar and ghee. Similarly, the foolish worker will untiringly continue to hear of the sense enjoyable tidings of the flickering mundane world, but will have very little time to hear about the eternal living force that moves the material world. 2. Another class of Duskriti or miscreant is called the Naradama, or the lowest of mankind. Nara means human being and Adama means the lowest. Out of the 8,400,000 different species of living beings, there are 400,000 human species. Out of these, there are numerous lower forms of human life that are mostly uncivilized. The civilized human beings are those, the civilized human beings are those who have regulative principles of social, political, and religious life. Those who are socially and politically developed but who have no religious principles must be considered Naradamas. Nor is religion without God religion, because the purpose of following religious principles is to know the supreme truth and man's relation with him. In the Gita, the personality of Godhead clearly states that there is no authority above him and that he is the supreme truth. The civilized form of human life is meant for man's reviving the lost consciousness of his eternal relationship with the supreme truth. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who is all powerful. Whoever loses this chance is classified as a Naradama. We get information from revealed scriptures that when the baby is in the mother's womb, an extremely uncomfortable situation, he prays to God for deliverance and promises to worship Him alone as soon as he gets out. To pray to God when he is in difficulty is a natural instinct in every living being because he is eternally related with God. But after his deliverance, the child forgets the difficulties of birth and forgets his deliverer also, being influenced by Maya, the illusory energy. It is the duty of the guardians of the children to revive the divine consciousness dormant in them. The 10 processes of reformatory ceremonies, as enjoined in the Manusmriti, which is a guide to religious principles, are meant for reviving God consciousness in the system of Varnashrama. However, no process is strictly followed now in any part of the world, and therefore 99.9% of the population is Naradama. When the whole population becomes Naradama, naturally all their so-called education is made null and void by the all-powerful energy of physical nature. According to the standard of the Gita, a learned man is he who sees on equal terms the learned Brahmana, the dog, the cow, the elephant, and the dog eater. That is the vision of a true devotee. Sri Nityananda Prabhu is the incarnation of Godhead as Divine Master. Delivered the typical Naradamas, the brothers Jagai and Madai, and showed how the mercy of a real devotee is bestowed upon the lowest of mankind. So the Naradama, who is condemned by the personality of Godhead, can again revive his spiritual consciousness only by the mercy of a devotee. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in propagating the Bhagavata Dharma or activities of the devotees, has recommended that people submissively hear the message of the personality of Godhead. The essence of this message is Bhagavad Gita. The lowest among human beings can be delivered by this submissive hearing process only. But unfortunately, they even refuse to give an oral reception to these messages, and what to speak of surrendering to the will of the Supreme Lord. Naradamas, or the lowest of mankind, willfully neglect the prime duty of the human being.
Hare
3.
Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
So, we studied the first two out of the 4 kinds of people who don't surrender to Krishna, right? So, the first kind, what we saw is Mudha, right? Prabhupada gives a very beautiful example here of the ass, isn't it? The donkey, right? The donkey is so happy to do so much of labor, and finally it gets his carrots, as they say, right? Even in the management parlance, they say carrot and stick approach, right? So the what do we get as carrot is after so much of hard work, right? And then the stick approaches, sometimes they ask the employee to leave the organization, or they ask the employee to what do you call they put them on the bench or something like that. There's no project for that particular person for a considerable amount of time because that person is not performed well, or whatever reason, whatever may be the reason. So this carrot, it is from donkey that they stick. They attach a carrot to a stick, and which is tied to the donkey's forehead. And what happens? The donkey thinks that, oh, the carrot is just here. If you just run a few steps, I'll be able to get the carrot. And in this way, the donkey runs, and because it's tied to the donkey, that the carrot also, goes ahead. Very difficult for it is impossible actually for the donkey to catch the carrot and eat it, right? The donkey is, looking at the carrot and running so much. Like that, Prabhupada gives example of so many, foolish people of this world. What are they doing? They're just running behind, opulence, money, etc., not understanding what is the actual purpose of life. Just to get a little bit of money, you're willing to do everything. Like the other day we were discussing His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu's, the example that he gave in the class, how somebody was earning 45,000. For 5,000 extra, he was willing to work for another 2 hours. And what happened? Instead of working, 8 hours a day, Prabhupada says very nicely, a human being can work for 8 hours a day. Whatever he gets by working that much, one has to learn to be satisfied with it. But if over endeavor and atyahara prayasascha happens, and then that this person worked for 12 hours, and what happened? He gained 5,000 rupees more, but the entire 5,000 had to give to the doctor because of the back pain and the spondylitis and overwork. And then did he gain anything? Everybody thought no, he didn't gain anything. He got 5,000 more and he spent 5,000 more. But Prabhuji was saying, yeah, he gained the back pain, the visits to the hospitals, the pain, etc., isn't it? So in this way, the four kinds of miscreants, duskritina. The first is the mudha, right? Repeatedly kicked by material nature, but yet don't learn their lessons, right? You always think that, okay, last time it didn't work, but this time if I work hard, I'm going to work, I'm going to get the money, I'm going to get the comforts. And then we are kicked by material nature time and again, and we never learn our lessons. Those kind of people are called mudha, like the donkey who's running behind the carrot. Will never get the carrot, right? But then we keep running like that. The second kind, naradama. Naradama means lowest among mankind, right? Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. The Lord has given us this dharma, or what a human being is supposed to do, what a human being is not supposed to do. When somebody studies the Vedic scriptures and purifies his intelligence, then he gets the discriminating ability. What am I supposed to do? What am I not supposed to do? Right? But one who does not study the Vedic scriptures, one who works according to his own mental concoctions, such people will neglect the prime duty. Like Prabhupada says, the dharma that is established by the Lord, such people do not perform such dharma, and they continue to be lowest among mankind. And lowest among mankind means, what is the next step? Going down, going down the platform of being a human being, right? The worst danger. What is that? There is a verse which says, Neha Vikramanashosti Pratyavayona Vidyate Swalpam Apiyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhayat. What is the Mahato Bhayat? The greatest danger is to lose the human form and get downgraded into lower species of life, where we are not going to have the discrimination ability. Right? A pig will not think, oh, why am I eating stool? Right? The pig will think, oh, wow, this is wonderful, isn't it? So when we make our consciousness like that of a pig or a donkey, then we will get the body of a pig or a donkey, where we will lose the discrimination ability, right? The power to discriminate what is right, what is wrong, right? So having got this human form of life, we should study scriptures, what is to be done, and not simply engage ourselves in this, the four activities of an animal. What is that? Maybe we are doing it very sophisticatedly, like Prabhupada says in a lecture, all right? We are doing it in a sophisticated way inside an AC room. But what we are doing is simply eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, which the dogs and the hogs do on the road. Just because we are doing it within an AC room, it does not change our consciousness, right? Ahara nidra bhayam aitunam cha samani meka pashubir samanam dharmo hi eko adhiko vishesho, right? As a human being, if I don't understand what is my dharma and which is the discriminating aspect between a human being and animals, dharmena hinam Pashubir Samanam. If I don't take into consideration what is my dharma and work accordingly, then I'm equal to a two-legged animal, right? There are four-legged animals who do eating, mating, sleeping, and defending on the roads, and I will become a two-legged animal who's doing the same four tasks inside maybe the four walls of the house, inside an AC room. That does not change my consciousness in any way, right? So very direct and very hard hitting, but somehow we have all the knowledge, but we do give priority to all of these things without giving priority, like Prabhupada gives the example of not feeding the bird in the cage, but nicely polishing the cage time and again, right? It is good to polish the cage also. It is because the bird has to live in the cage, so we need to take care of our material body also, but then we need to give importance to what will help our soul, or what will help us who are spirit souls, right? Now let us go on to the third class of Dushkriti, who is Maya Aparata Jnanaha. That means one whose intelligence is stolen by illusion, right? Sindhu Mataji, you would like to go ahead and read the third kind of Dushkriti.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna pranams.
Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam.
Hare Bachila Prabhupada ki jai. Number 3. The next class of Dushkriti is called Maya Pakrita Jnanaha, or those persons whose erudite knowledge has been nullified by the influence of illusory material energy. They are mostly very learned fellows, great philosophers, poets, literary scientists, etc. But the illusory energy misguides them and therefore they disobey the Supreme Lord. There are a great number of Maya Prakrita Jnanaha at the present moment, even amongst the scholars of the Bhagavad Gita. The Gita, in plain and simple language, it is stated that Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is none equal to or greater than him. He is mentioned as the father of Brahma, the original father of all human beings. In fact, Sri Krishna is said to be not only the father of Brahma, but also the father of all species of life. He is the root of the impersonal Brahman and Paramatma, the super soul in every entity in his planetary portion.
He's the fountainhead of everything.
He's the fountainhead of everything, and everyone is advised to surrender unto his lotus feet. Despite all these clear statements, the Maya Prakrita Jnanaha deride the personality of the Supreme Lord and consider him merely another human being. They do not know that the blessed form of human life is designed after the eternal and transcendental feature of the Supreme Lord. All the unauthorized interpretations of the Gita by the class of Maya Prakrita Jnanaha outside the purview of the Parampara system are so many stumbling blocks on the path of spiritual understanding. The deluded interpreters do not surrender unto the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, nor do they teach others to follow this principle. Number 4, should I continue, Mataji?
Yeah, go ahead.
Number 4, the last class of this Kriti is called Ashuram Bhavam Ashritaha, or those of demoniac principles. This class is openly atheistic. Some of them argue that the Supreme Lord can never descend upon this material world, but they are unable to give any tangible reasons as to why not. There are others who make him subordinate to the impersonal feature, although the opposite is declared in the Gita. Envious of the Supreme Personality of God, the atheist will present a number of illicit incarnations manufactured in the factory of his brain. Such persons whose very principle of life is to decry the personality of Godhead cannot surrender unto the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. Sri Yamunacharya Albandaru of South India said, "Oh my Lord, you are unknowable to persons involved with atheistic principles. Despite your uncommon qualities, features, and activities, despite your personalities being confirmed by all the revealed scriptures in the quality of goodness, and despite your being acknowledged by the famous authorities renowned for their depth of knowledge in the transcendental science and situated in the godly qualities. Therefore, 1, grossly foolish persons, 2, the lowest of mankind, 3, the deluded speculators, and 4, the professed atheist, as above mentioned, never surrender unto the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead in spite of all scriptural and authoritative advice." Hare Krishna.
Oh, sorry. I was on mute. So I was just thinking of so many people of South India, right? They study all the 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita. Very, very erudite scholars, right? They can tell all the 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita ulta, even backward to front also. 700 to 1 also they can tell. 1 to 700 also they can tell, right? But how many verses of the Bhagavad Gita can they implement in their life? Hardly, because they interpret the Bhagavad Gita according to what suits them. What is nice, what is favorable for me, what is pleasing my mind, I take up that, and I don't take up other parts, right? That means what? Maya Aparita Jnana. That means intelligence is there and study is there, but they are giving themselves unto the illusory energy of the Lord. They are allowing themselves to be misguided by the illusory energy of the Lord. That is Maya Aparita Jnana. That is why mental speculation is never a path to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And finally, Asuram Bhavam Ashrita. Asuram means those who accept the Supreme Lord are called Suras. They are demigods. And Asura means those who don't accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are atheists, who think that when the Lord also appears in this world, he is also an ordinary person. Such people do not even believe in the existence of God. And how do we even, recommend or ask them to even surrender? Surrender to dur ki baat. To understand our relationship And then you have to engage in the process of devotional service. And then surrender is in the last step where we perform everything for the pleasure of the Lord. So in this way, Prabhupada very beautifully describes these 4 kinds of people who don't surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And now there is an interesting 4 categories of people who surrender to the Lord. They are described as Jana Sukritino Arjuna, very, very fortunate people, very, very pious people. So let's see who they are. Manasi Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Dandavat Pranam. Thank you, Mataji.
Hari Bol.
चतुर्विधा भजन्ते माम ज्ञान सुकृतनो अर्जुनो अर्थ जिज्ञासु अर्थार्थी ज्ञानी च भरतर्षभः. Chaturvidha, 4 kinds of bhajante, render services, mam, unto me, jnana, persons, sukritina, janaha, persons, sukritina, those who are pious, Arjuna, O Arjun, artha, the distress, jigyasu, the inquisitive, artharthi, one who desires material gain, jnani, one who knows things as they are, cha, also, Bharatarshaba, O great one amongst the descendants of Bharata. O best among the Bharatas, 4 kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desire of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the absolute. Purport by Shri Prabhupada, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Unlike the miscreants, these are adherents of the regulative principles of the scriptures, and they are called Sukritina, or those who obey the rules and regulations of scriptures, the moral and social lives, social laws, and are more or less devoted to the Supreme Lord. Are of these there are 4 classes of men: those who are sometimes distressed, those who are in need of money, those who are sometimes inquisitive, and those who are sometimes searching after knowledge of the absolute truth. These persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service under different conditions. These are not pure devotees, but because they have some aspiration to fulfill in exchange for devotional service. Pure devotional service is without aspiration and without desire for material profit. The Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 1:1:11 defines pure devotion thus: Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmani anavritam anukulena krishnanu bhaktir uttamam. One should render this transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. When these 4 kinds of persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service and are completely purified by the association of a pure devotee, they also become pure devotees. As far as the miscreants are concerned, for them devotional service is very difficult because their lives are selfish, irregular, and without spiritual goals. But even some of them, by chance, when they come in contact with a pure devotee, also become pure devotees. Those who are always busy with fruitive activities come to the Lord in material distress, and at that time associate with pure devotees and become in their distress devotees of the Lord. Those who are simply frustrated also come sometimes to associate with the pure devotees and become inquisitive to know about God. Similarly, when the dry philosophers are frustrated in every field of knowledge, they sometimes want to learn of God, and they come to the Supreme Lord to render devotional service and thus transcend knowledge of the impersonal Brahman and the localized Paramatma and come to the personal conception of Godhead by the grace of the Supreme Lord or his pure devotee. On the whole, when the distressed, the inquisitive, the seekers of knowledge, and those who are in need of money are free from all material desires, when they fully understand that material remuneration has nothing to do with spiritual improvement, they become pure devotees. As long as such a purified stage is not attained, devotees in transcendental service to the Lord are tainted with fruitive activities, the search for mundane knowledge, etc. So one has to transcend all this before one can come to the stage of pure devotional service. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So this is a very important verse because all of us, if we look back in our own lives, when we came into Krishna consciousness, sometimes we came because we wanted a better job, or probably we were, had going through some distress, and then we came in the association of devotees, or some of us were seeking answers to certain questions. Why am I suffering, etc. And then somebody gave us a Bhagavad Gita, right? We can all have our own past, how we came into Krishna consciousness. So when we came into Krishna consciousness, we all had some desires, right? We may still be having desires, right? It's not that we artificially give up the desires. But what happens, very important point that Prabhupada mentions in the purport, which is very, very hope-giving, is simply by rendering the process of devotional service, we will get cured of our material disease of wanting more and more of all the things, right? So simply by engaging, bhajatema ananya bhag, right? Simply by engaging in the exclusive devotion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all of these desires, the desire to get free from distress, the desire to get money, right? All of these desires, one will get purified. And that happens by rendering transcendental service to the Lord. In Bhagavatam also, there is a verse. Of course, there's a definition of pure devotional service. It's given here. Anya abhilashita shunyam, not having any desire to acquire anything from the Lord in return for devotional service, because then it is not devotional service. If I want something back, that means it's like an employment in a material organization. I work to get some money, to get some salary, to get some comforts, to get a car, to get an accommodation, etc., etc. Whatever I work for in the organization, and that is service for sure, but that is not devotional service, because it's not rendered with love and devotion and without expectation of material profit, right? That is why even worship to the devatas, Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, is not devotional service, because the service that we render, right, is also to acquire some kind of material gains, isn't it? So devotional service, Prabhupada says, can only be rendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because we know that Krishna will not give us something if it is not going to help us advance in devotional service. Very clearly, Krishna tells, right? Ayoga kshemam vahamyam. I give what a devotee lacks. I carry what a devotee has, only if that is favorable for the particular person to advance in devotional service. Krishna will not give something, even if we cry and whatever we do, if it is not going to be favorable for our devotional service, Krishna will not give. That is why devotees, they ask Krishna only, Krishna, I have this desire, because sometimes, because of our past conditioning, we're not able to give up desires. But what a devotee does is only ask Krishna whatever desires we have, right? Whatever desires we have only ask Krishna. If Krishna gives, I will have it. If Krishna does not give it to me, then it is not good for me. That is the understanding that the devotee has. In that way, Krishna is also sold out to such a devotee, right? Because such a devotee does not go to other demigods in asking for certain things which the Lord himself is not giving. Because whatever the demigods give are also given by the Lord only. But the demigods are obliged to give certain things, although they may not be good for us. But the Lord will only give, just like the other day we were talking about the parents and the shopkeeper. Right? If you have 10 rupees, you go and ask Kit Kat. Every day, the shopkeeper will give you Kit Kat, not worrying about your teeth, right? Not worrying about your health, isn't it? But the parents will never, give such a thing every day, giving chocolates or whatever, right? It will never be given by the parent to the child, whereas the shopkeeper may give the same thing to the child, because the shopkeeper is not interested in the child's welfare, whereas the parents are. Similarly, the Lord is interested in our welfare, whereas the demigods, they are obliged to give certain things, although such things may not be good for us, right? So an intelligent person will only worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, and these are the 4 pious people who, although they have material desires, although they have, they have some wishes or desires to be fulfilled, they are only vyavasayatmika buddhi ekaha kurunantara. They are simply focused on worshipping the Supreme Lord, even for the satisfaction of their desires. And what's the result of that? Right? Dhruv Maharaj, we saw. The result of that is that we will get purified of our material desires. And when we get purified, Krishna may even give us. Because Krishna knows that now, even if you get those material desires, even if those are satisfied, you will utilize that in the service of the Lord. That's why Dhruv Maharaj, when he was given the planet that he desired, which is much, much higher than his great grandfather, when he got it, he considered it to be like broken pieces of glass. He did not want it because his desire was fulfilled. I mean, his desire was purified and they were also fulfilled like that. right? It's up to Krishna. We should not try like, okay, Dhruva Maharaj got it, so I should also get my desire and I should also get purified. It is up to the Lord how he wants to purify us. Sometimes he gives the desire and purifies us. Sometimes he may purify us by not giving it, right? It is according to our consciousness, what we have developed. And according to that, the Lord will take us. But the Lord for sure will take us on the path of bhakti, will help us advance in devotional service. And how the Lord should do it is not something that we can dictate. That's what is the purport of this entire verse. All right, next verse, Mansi Mataji already read. Let's go on. Mansi Mataji already read, isn't it?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Sudha Mataji, go ahead.
second paragraph.
Text 17.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Pranam. तेषां ज्ञानी नित्ययुक्ता एकभक्तिर्विशिष्यते प्रियो हि ज्ञानिनोत्यर्थम् अहं स च मम प्रियः. Translation and purport by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Of these, the one who is in full knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best. For I am very dear to him and he is dear to me. Purport. Free from all contaminations of material desires, the distressed, the inquisitive, the penniless, and the seeker after supreme knowledge can all become pure devotees. But out of them, he who is in knowledge of the absolute truth and free from all material desires becomes a real pure devotee of the Lord. And of the four orders, the devotee who is in full knowledge and is at the same time engaged in devotional service is, the Lord says, the best. By searching after knowledge, one realizes that his self is different from his material body, and when further advanced, he comes to the knowledge of impersonal Brahman and Paramatma. When one is fully purified, he realizes that his constitutional position is to be the eternal servant of God. So, by association with pure devotees, the inquisitive, the distressed, the seeker after material amelioration, and the man in knowledge all become themselves pure. But in the preparatory stage, the man who is in full knowledge of the Supreme Lord and is at the same time executing devotional service is very dear to the Lord. He who is situated in pure knowledge of the transcendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so protected in devotional service that material contamination cannot touch him. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yeah. So here Prabhupada is saying, who is very, very dear to Krishna? Krishna himself is saying, who is very dear to me? Jnani is most dear. Right? Although all the four kinds are Sukritina, right? They are all pious people because they all come to Krishna. That means if Krishna gives, I'm happy to have all those things. If Krishna does not give, I don't want it. Right? So these are people who surrender only to Krishna. And such kind of people will automatically become pure devotees with time. Right? If you continue to engage in devotional service, our desires will be purified. But amongst them also, Krishna is saying, the most dear to me are the jnanis, because you already know that I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? Sometimes, out of sentimental reasons also, we may approach Krishna. Right? And if you're not steady in our devotional service, then something happens, something untoward happens. Then we give up the worship of Krishna and then we move on to the other demigods. Right? We've seen many instances like that when things don't go in favor. So those people who are staunchly established in devotional service, they are the jnanis, because they know that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Everything we get, even through the demigods, are only from Krishna. So having such strong faith in Krishna, they continue in devotional service with respect to whatever happens in their life. And Krishna himself says that such a kind of jnani is very dear to me. Okay, so let's, this is what verse number 18. Okay, let's go ahead. Maybe we have about 7 minutes more. Let's try to do till 20 if possible. Otherwise, we'll end at 1:45. Okay, Vrishabhanu Kanya Mataji, go ahead. 7.18. Udaraha sarva evaite jnani tvatmaiva me matam astitah sahiyuktatma mam evanuttamam gatim. Mataji, yes, go ahead. You want to read the verse?
Okay, Mataji. Udara sarva evaite gnani tvatmaiva me matam astitah sahi yuktatma mame evanuttamam gatim. Udaraha, magnanimous, sarve, all, eva, certainly, ete, this, gnani, one who is in knowledge. 2. But Atma eva, just like myself, me, my, Mattama, opinion, Astitaha, situated, Taha, he, I, certainly, he, certainly, Yukta Atma, engaged in devotional service, Mama, in me, eva, certainly, Anuttamam, the highest, Gatim, destination. Translation by Sri Prabhupada ki jai. All these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous soul, but he who is situated in knowledge of me, I consider to be just like my own self, being engaged in my transcendental service. He is sure to attain me, the highest and most perfect goal, purport. It is not that devotees who are less complete in knowledge are not dear to the Lord. The Lord says that all are magnanimous because anyone who comes to the Lord for any purpose is called Mahatma or great soul. The devotees who want some benefit out of devotional service are accepted by the Lord because there is an exchange of affection. Out of affection, they ask the Lord for some material benefit, and when they get it, they become so satisfied that they also advance in devotional service. But the devotee in full knowledge is considered to be very dear to the Lord because his only purpose is to serve the Supreme Lord with love and devotion. Such a devotee cannot live a second without contacting or serving the Supreme Lord. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is very fond of his devotee and cannot be separated from him. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 9.4.68, the Lord says, Sadhavo
साधवो हृदयं मह्यं साधूनां हृदयं त्वहं मदन्यत्ते न जानन्ति नाहं तेभ्यो मनागपि. If possible, you should try to memorize this verse. Very beautiful. Where does the Lord actually reside? Right? It does not reside anywhere else except in the hearts of the devotees who serve them with love and devotion. Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
The devotees are always in my heart, and I am always in the hearts of devotees. The devotees does not knowing anything beyond me, and I also cannot forget the devotees. There is very intimate relationship between me and the pure devotees. Pure devotees in full knowledge are never out of spiritual touch, and therefore they are very much dear to me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Yeah, so the devotees, so there is also another verse which says, Naham Tishtati Vaikunta, right? I am not situated in Vaikunta, I am not situated in Goloka Vrindavan, I am not situated in any place. But where my katha is going on, right? I am eternally present there. Like that. So very Krishna, those who always sing the glories of Krishna are most dear to Krishna. Okay, text number 19, let's go ahead. Karpagavali Mataji, go ahead. And then 20th verse, Nagavani Mataji can go ahead. And then we can end for it. Yes.
Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapatye Vasudeva Saram Iti Sa Mahatma Su Durlabha. Synonyms, shall I read, Matali? Bahunam, many, Janmanam, repeated birth and death, Ante, after, Jnanavan, one who is in full knowledge, Mam, unto me, Prapatye, surrenders, Vasudeva, the personality of Godhead Krishna, Sarvam, everything, Iti, does, Saha, that Mahatma, great soul, Surdurlabha, very great, very rare to see. Translation by Prabhupada ki jai. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Purpose, a living entity while executing devotional service or transcendental rituals after many births may actually become situated in transcendental pure knowledge that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate goal of spiritual realization. In the beginning of spiritual realization, while one is trying to give up one's attachment to materialism, there is some leaning towards impersonalism. But when one is further advanced, he can understand that there are activities in the spiritual life and that these activities constitute devotional service. Realizing this, he becomes attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrenders to Him. At such a time, one can understand that Lord Sri Krishna's mercy is everything and that He is the cause of all causes and that this material manifestation is not independent from Him. He realizes that the material world to be a perverted reflection of spiritual variegatedness and realizes that in everything there is a relationship with the Supreme Lord Krishna. Thus, he thinks of everything in relation to Vasudeva or Sri Krishna. Such a universal vision of Vasudeva precipitates one's full surrender to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna as the highest goal. Such surrendered souls are very rare. This verse is very nicely explained in 3rd chapter, verses 14 and 15 of the Svetaswara Upanishad. Sagasra Shirsha Purusha. Sagasra Shirsha Purusha, Sagasracha Sagastrapad, Tabhagma Mishado Virtva, Yeteshas Asangulam, Purusha Yevedam Sarvam Yad Bodham, Yacha Bhavam, Uttama, so Vivachraso,
Amritat
Uttamrata
Kasheshani.
Asheshano, Yet Anyano, Anyanortha Hatim. Lord Vishnu has thousands of heads. Purusha Suktam, no, Mataji, this is Purusha Suktam, no? Lord Vishnu has thousands of heads and thousands of eyes.
Shvetashvatara Upanishad, it's mentioned here.
Okay. Lord Vishnu has thousands of heads, thousands of eyes, and thousands of ears, entirely encompassing the whole universe. He still extends beyond it by 10 fingers breadth. He is, in fact, this entire universe. He is all that was and all that will be. He is the Lord of immortality and of all that is nourished by food. In the Chantodaya Upanishad 5.1.15, it is said, Na vai vacho na chakshumi na srotrani na mamastisi akshayati prani iti ivakshato prano ye ivaitani sarvani bhavanti. In the body of a living being, neither the power to speak, nor the power to see, nor the power to hear, nor the power to think is the prime factor. It is life which is the center of all activities. Similarly, Lord Vasudeva, or personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, Lord Sri Krishna is the prime entity in everything. In this body, there are powers of speaking, of seeing, of hearing, of mental activities, etc. But these are not important if not related to the Supreme Lord Krishna. Supreme Lord, and because Vasudeva, all pervading in everything, is Vasudeva. And the devotee surrenders in full knowledge. Bhagavad Gita 7.17 and 11.1. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Yeah, very beautiful, right? There is no ability that is really important as that of life itself, right? Because all the other things, what we're able to do with our eyes and ears and nose and legs and hands, we're able to do all of that because the consciousness is permeating in our body, which is the symptom of life, isn't it? So, and that's where Prabhupada is saying, so we should utilize all of these abilities in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So with that, we will end our session today. Tomorrow, Nagavani Mataji can start reading. So thank you very much for joining in. We'll quickly do Harinam Sankirtan for 2-3 minutes. And then if devotees have any queries or questions, you may raise your hands. And yeah, so that's all we'll do. Hare Krishna. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Asatyarishatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Jaya Jaya Sudarshan Jaya Bala Gopal Jaya Chaturabhuja Shaligram Shila Vaya Griva Shaligram Shila Jaya Guru Parampara Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Guru Deva Nitai Gauda Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय कलियुग पतित पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद श्रील गुरुदेव की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. All right, so we have Rohini Mataji, Sridhar Prabhu, Rajneesh Prabhu, Vanamali Mataji. Vanamali Prabhu, Harjeet Mataji, Sindhu Mataji, Rishabhanu, Kanya Mataji, Karpagavalli Mataji. Okay, very nice. Sarva Gopeshwari Mataji, thank you so much. Mansi Mataji, I see your hand up. If you can also give your darshan, then we will take your question. If not, also we'll take your question. But if possible, do switch on your camera. Yes, Mataji, go ahead with your question. You can unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna.
If possible, you can switch on your camera also.
1 minute. I'll switch off little. 1 second. The question is the Shunyavadi, Visheshvadi, Mayavadi. Those do not come in this category of Dushritina, Naradhama, Maya. These people, Namam Dushritino Muda, that one, Maya Apitagyana,
Of course they come in that category.
They also come Visheshvadis and all. Because they are the impersonalists, they are Mayavadis and all. They are the Shunyavadis. So they are meaning they're not completely means against God, but these people are miscreants and atheistic people. So do they come? Was a little bit wanted some
Mayavadis lead the entire congregation of atheists, right? Mayavadis say that Maya Devi is even superior to Krishna. So they are the topmost atheists, right? So they are the topmost Naradhamas, right? They are definitely come under this 4 category of people. Mayavadis, Prabhupada says, Mayavadis are Pashandis, right? They deride, so they do come under the category of these 4 people who don't surrender to the Lord, right? However, Brahmavadis, right? Brahmavadis means they surrender to the impersonal feature of the Lord. They don't come under these 4 categories because, there are some Brahmavadis who, when they get an opportunity of association with devotees, they may even Sanat Kumaras for that reason. We're Brahmavadis. That means, they believe that the personal feature of the Lord is the ultimate, right? But then, but when they get the opportunity to, smell the fragrance of the tulsi that is offered to the Lord, or they come in the association of devotees, then automatically they become devotees of the Lord, right? So Brahmavadis, at least they realize a partial aspect of the Lord. But Mayavadis are Pashandis, right? Mayavadis, they deride the Lord only. They say that when the Lord appears here, he is also under the influence of Maya. So they are all atheists. They come under these 4 categories. Okay, Mataji?
They believe in that one, no? Avajananti Mahamuda Manushim Tam Mashrita. That
Yeah.
verse he has
Yeah.
explained.
They are fools. They are fools because they don't
They are
understand.
fools.
That's what, yeah. Avajananti Mahamuda Manushim Tanamashritam. Param Jananto Amabhuta Maheshwaram. Yeah, they don't understand the transcendental nature of the appearance and activities of the Lord. And hence they are considered fools. They are considered Pashandis, right? Especially Mayavadis are Aparadis. Right? Prabhupada says, very, very difficult for a Mayavadi to even come in association of devotee and take up the path of bhakti. Right? Because they deride the Lord. Right? So there is no way that they will get the mercy of the Lord. Yeah. Yes, Rohini Mataji, anything from you?
Mataji, just a follow-up to Mansi Mataji's question. Prabhupada says so vehemently about Mayavadis, but Mataji, I hear a lot of speakers, then why they quote so many things about Shankaracharya, like Punarapi that thing, and then why do we keep quoting Shankaracharya quotes in so many places?
Shankaracharya is an incarnation of Lord Shiva, right? He appeared to satisfy certain purposes, right? At that time, there was complete rejection of the Vedas. So Shankaracharya actually to re-establish the Vedas as the ultimate authority, Shankaracharya appeared, right? And whatever Shankaracharya preached was for the particular sections of the society according to their levels of consciousness. But Shankaracharya also preached at the end, the last instruction of Shankaracharya was Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate. Right? Oh, foolish person engaged in the service of Govinda. Right? That was the last instruction. Of course, Krishna himself says, right? To those, what is that? Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yoga Maya Samavita. Right? By my veil of Yoga Maya, I cover myself to those people to who want to enjoy, right? But for those people who want to serve the Lord, Krishna is always giving us the intelligence through the association of his devotees. Krishna is giving intelligence how to progress in devotional service. But to those people who want to become God, who are envious of the Lord, to such people, and Krishna shields himself. Krishna does not reveal himself to such people, right? And also Shankaracharya, right? Although he is an incarnation of Lord Shiva, he came to establish certain purposes, and that is why we don't propagate the teachings of Shankaracharya, because dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Whatever are given in the Vedic scriptures, the real essence of the Vedic scriptures is to be taken, right? We should not get dissolved in they say that the flowery language of the Vedas and lose the essence, right? That is why only when we are in a bona fide parampara, which is one of the 4 paramparas, which is Rudra Sampradaya or Lakshmi Sampradaya, Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Vaishnava parampara, or Kumara Sampradaya, only then we will understand the essence of the scriptures. So we have to be in a bona fide Guru parampara. Otherwise, we will definitely get deluded by all of these different gurus. There are so many gurus in the market. We can go window shopping, we'll find a guru. Every day we'll find a different guru. But we want to take a guru who's coming in one of the 4 bona fide disciplic succession. Only then we will understand the real purport of the Vedas. Otherwise, we will get deluded and we will waste a lot of time in this. Okay? Because if we learn something wrong, to unlearn it takes a lot of time. To unlearn and come out of this wrong understanding and to take up the right path takes a lot of time and energy. That is why we have to surrender only to a bona fide guru, right? And we should not, at least in the initial stages, we should not be hearing from anybody other than even Prabhupada said you need not even listen to Gaudiya Math, those devotees also, because Prabhupada said to the extent of our understanding, let's become first firm in bhakti, and Srila Prabhupada's books will enable us to reach there. So we need not go and hear from anybody else. We need not hear from anybody else other than our own bona fide parampara, right? So in this way, yeah, Shri Sampradaya is one of the bona fide Sampradayas. But then, our first focus is Prabhupada's books. Prabhupada is written in English language, very simple purports by which we can apply, right? Shri Sampradaya and all other things, they are all bona fide. But what is our level? Are we at the level of understanding so many, high-level acharyas' truths, right? So let us focus on Prabhupada's instructions. Let us transform our life. And then when we are capable and we have reached that level where we want to directly, understand the bona fide paramparas, those are all high level. At least for myself, I can say, I don't know about all of you. For my level, I only think that I have to read Prabhupada's books because I need to transform my life from what it is now to what it is necessary. Simply by studying Prabhupada's books and applying it in our life, we can become pure devotees. We need to be convinced of that. So yeah, and beyond studying Prabhupada's books and ABCD square formula that Prabhupada has given, at least to do that only I'm struggling, right? If we have the time and we do all of this, then we can go ahead and hear from Sri Vaishnava Acharyas and other things. But for me, I stick to Prabhupada's books, right? And Prabhupada's lectures and those lectures of Prabhupada's disciples, right? Which clearly reiterate and tell us, how to apply Prabhupada's instructions in our life, right? So that is what we need to stick on. Yeah. All right. Is it okay? Yeah. Thank you so much. I don't see any more hands. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So meet tomorrow morning, 5 o'clock for Brahma Muhurta chanting, and then we meet at 12:30. Tomorrow is Friday. So we will continue with chapter 7 of the Bhagavad Gita. Thank you very much for joining us. Jagat Guru Srila